Oops. What is this? Oh, Lord. Hello, hello. We're going to get started definitely at 7. We'll have people coming in from Japan. So if you can share as much as you can. This is really, I'm kind of new to TikTok with this. So if you can kind of share so we can, audio is where you press the like button. Okay, when you press the, okay, when you press the, what did she say? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, press the like button. No, I don't know where that's at. Please share, share, share. I don't know what I'm doing. Hi, everybody. This is kind of new to me, being on TikTok. I'm usually on Facebook. So if you guys can help me out some, if there's anything that you see that I should be doing that I don't know that I should be doing, please let me know. Thank you all for coming. We'll get started in 5 minutes. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your support. Please share so we can, I've got lots to talk about tonight. If there's any questions, I'll get a chance to try to answer them as much as possible. It says, good evening, add me up. Okay. There's that.
How you doing? How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. I just
Glad.
wanted to, I know
Yeah.
you were wanting people to join, so I was just joining up so I could get some people from my followers to hear you out. Because I saw your TikTok the other day about your son. So,
Okay.
definitely want to help where I can. So I'm going to just put myself on mute and allow people to join, so they could come
Okay.
speak to you.
Thank you so
Sure.
much. I appreciate it. Come on in, come on in. Please share. And if you would like to get more updates, please feel free to follow. I'm not for sure how the internet is going to work. I'm going to still keep trying to work with it no matter what. So if something does go off, just know I'm going to, what is this? Swipe for it. Okay, to see real time performance. Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, even if it's something does happen, just know I'm gonna come back on. And thank you for the hearts. Definitely appreciate it. Hi.
So if you tap your screen, just
Okay.
double tap it twice, 2 times. Okay. And then you put if you press the share button at the bottom, you
Okay.
see that next to the GIF, you press the yellow button where it says repost. Do you see
Okay.
that? And then you
Is it at the bottom? Is the arrow? Is it the
it's a,
arrow?
it's an arrow, and then it should be a yellow button that says repost.
Okay, let me see. I got the yellow arrow and it has two people on it, but I don't know where it says repost at.
It should be like you press the share button next to the GIF, right?
Oh, it's next to the
Yeah,
gift.
it's next to the GIF at the bottom corner.
On the left or the right?
It's on the right.
Okay, because I've got it where it has the share arrow
Yeah.
and it has two people down, but when I share it, after I share it, I don't see anything yellow.
Okay. Y'all do me a favor. Can y'all double tap the live and repost for her? She is coming to here to talk about something that she's been going through about her son. So if y'all could do us a favor and repost the live, add it to your story. So she's gonna get started in a couple. And I'm gonna let her take over. 'Cause this is really her time to shine, not ours.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for coming in. I really appreciate all of you. I definitely appreciate all of you. Yes, please do. And if it's something that I do miss because it's moving too fast or something, and you think it's something that I need to highlight, just let me know. Just come back to it and I'll do it. I want to make sure that we get everything that we can tonight. Please share it. It says double tap.
No, that's just me. That's just me
That's
texting to them.
okay.
So I don't interrupt you. It's
Thanks.
okay.
All righty. Okay, it's like they got me. Okay, it's a puzzle. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll wait for maybe a minute or so for a few more to come in and then we will get started. Thank you all for coming in and I truly appreciate you. This is definitely a different time and I thank you for being with me in all of this. Hey, Tokyo. Oh yeah, and please put down where you guys are coming in from. Tokyo, please share. Please share. Is it Maya? Yes. Please share as much as you can. And so, we can kind of figure out what's going on. Maybe you guys got some ideas, your platforms or whatever it may be. But I really, 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 really appreciate all of you at this point. Thank you so much. And I think you're supposed to say, give you some hearts, and give you hearts. I don't know about this one, but I thank you all for coming. Thank you so much.
Y'all
I'm
double
sure.
tap the live, repost, double tap the live and repost for her, please. She's about to
Thank
get
you.
started.
Yes, I am. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you. And for some housekeeping, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Rhonda Payne. I'm the mom of Chris Payne. That's kind of why you guys are here. I'm the one that he's been the mother of the son that has been held in detention, hostage justice system in Japan for the past 4 years. And I wanted to come and kind of highlight a little bit of everything, some of the main things that you guys may be interested in finding out. So I have Passionate on here, Passionate Creation. She's gonna kind of look over some of the questions that I may miss. So please know that I'm not trying to miss any of you at all. But I'm going to do the best that I can. Also, I had tagged a lot of you in the Justice for Chris Payne. And I just want to let you know I had to talk to someone from Japan, and they're going to update the TikTok page tonight. So everything that you have been missing, and so because when you go and you hit the Justice for Chris Payne, it'll take you to the TikTok page. Everything, some things are there, but there's a lot of things that have not been updated up into the very overturning of the case in December. So that's not up there as of yet. So since it's not up there as of yet, oh my gosh, I thought I had YouTube on. Oh my gosh. But since it's not up there as of yet, you guys are going to see that the case was overturned in the high courts and sent back to a lower courts, but is now in the Supreme Courts of Japan. Okay. So I'm going to kind of get started with that. And then also you'll see eventually someone's going to come in and put in the chat that we are actually doing a GoFundMe. I'll tell you about why. And then there's @Justice for Chris Payne shirts, because even once he's out on bail, the fight is not over. So let me start out by saying thank you. Thank you guys all for coming and supporting. And thank you so much for the video that you guys all liked and shared. And I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of questions as to what is going on, why it has been taking so long, and what can you do to even help. And then on the other side, how is Chris doing? So I'm going to start off by truly talking about what the hostage justice system is. Number one, the hostage justice system, over the years, Japan has been able to gaslight the people in making people believe that the hostage justice system never existed. And when you look at Japan's system, there's two systems. There's the legal system, and there is a hostage justice system. The hostage justice system is illegal. It is truly illegal. But the justice system is not. The hostage justice system is truly put in place so that Japan can, look good as a country and have 100% conviction rate. That would kind of discourage people from acting out and what have you. So when it's all said and done, you got the system that's in place that's right, and you got the system that's in place that's wrong. My son is on the other side of the right system. So I want to start out by telling you what happened. My son came to visit in May of 2021, and that was the last time I was able to see him face to face. Gave him a big hug, put him on the plane, and sent him back to Japan. Well, November, it was Thanksgiving 2021, I get a call in, and it was a plus 081. That is the prefix of Japan. And, my son and I used to do FaceTime. So, nobody wants to see that number. And the number came up, and it was my son's friend. And my son's friend was saying that Chris he went to jail. So I said, okay, jail, let's figure out what we can do. And nothing, that we're trying to figure out what's going on. And they're calling around. They're telling me, well, he's in Shiba and the Shiba detention center. And I said, okay, had not heard from the U.S. Embassy at all. So I called the U.S. Embassy to try to see what was going on. The U.S. Embassy hadn't got the word yet that he was there. It was with my intentional thinking, not really knowing what's going on, that Sheba didn't want the U.S. Embassy to know that he was there. So I got in touch with them. You guys, find my son. So eventually they found him, but Sheba did not report it. I reported it. They found him, and that's when they began to figure out, wait a minute, something is going on. You guys find my son, tell me what I need to do. During that time, I started researching. And the biggest thing that stuck out to me was house's justice system. And I kept that in my head. Now, my son is being detained. He thought it was a joke because he's like, why am I being detained? And so he figured it was a joke. I figured it was a joke. So an attorney came in and let my son know, hey, this is an open and shut case. Let's go ahead and leave out. He was going to have to pay for it. He didn't want to put the burden on us as a family. So what he decided to do was disconnect and say, well, you know what? I don't need an attorney. I can take the court-appointed attorneys, which at times you understand that sometimes the court-appointed attorneys, they work for the court. So he gets in and he finds out that, time is going. So the most that they can hold you supposedly uncharged in detention is 23 days. So now we've got to wait out 23 days. However, I did not know that what would happen is after 23 days, they would go back in and apply for another 23 days. And then they will keep doing it. So before you know it, now we're going to talk about how we got up to this particular point. So before you know it, I'm in a panic now because now we've gone past the 23 days. There's no bail. There's none of this stuff that's going on because they don't have a bail system in place, and they definitely don't have a bail system for foreigners. So now, what is going on? The biggest thing, I'm calling around to Chris's friends. His friends are calling me, people that I never even knew. And my son had a really big support base. So they're contacting me, Miss Payne, how are you doing? We want to let you know what's going on. They took him captive in a place away from all of his friends. So it was going to be hard for them to get to him. But the biggest thing that happened, as soon as he went into detention, not in detention, but the local jail, his friends came in and they were like, they said, you're looking for Chris Payne. And the reason why they were able to say you're looking for Chris Payne, because he was well known. He was in mixed martial arts. He was in Japanese jiu-jitsu. He worked for one of the top 2 IT companies in Japan, and he played soccer, the whole nine. So, and he was, pretty much a good guy. And so they were like, you know what? You can go in and see him. So now here's a prolonged everything to let you know how long my son was sitting there without being charged. It was 3 years. He was not charged for 3 years. So the hostage justice system denies you the right to a speedy trial. And so he kept being denied. Well, let's kind of fast forward it here. He goes in. The biggest thing was, I'm not saying, and a lot of you will be able to go back and look at all of everything that was put up, because he's pretty much been cleared of everything. And he was accused of a SA. I won't say it on here because I don't want to be blocked out or anything. So that's what he was accused of. You'll find out that he ended up, they realized that they had planted information on him. So how did he end up getting into this situation? My son is, he's never been a drinker or anything. I don't know how this came about, but one night, I guess he had been drinking and he fell asleep in someone's doorway. The police was called. He apologized for all this other stuff. And they said, well, give a DNA test. And because of him being an American, he knows that DNA, if you did anything wrong, you better not give it. So he agreed to take a DNA test and give them DNA. For that was the matter. He didn't take a DNA test. He gave them DNA. And so he figured that he was in the clear. So afterwards, they started coming after him, I guess, and I did not know it. And it was right around the Me Too movement that they came after him. And Japan was trying to get cases solved. So they went in and they picked up my son. And so they picked up the person who was SA'd. They kept questioning her. To our knowledge, in the court documents, they brought her in 4 or 5 times and asked her, who was it? Her original police report said that it was a Japanese man. So that was in 2018. Now, mind you, they picked my son up in 2021. So she said that it was a Japanese man. That was the first police report. They brought her in 4 or 5 more times and eventually made her say that it was a foreigner, because she kept saying that she didn't know who my son was. And my son said that he didn't know who she was. During this time, we went through his emails. We went through his social media. They took and blocked everything out. They took his cell phone. They took all of his credentials, his passports, and everything. They have had every intention on him doing everything that everybody else did, and that was to confess. Now, this is the hard part. You can confess to a broken light bulb. You can confess to a petty theft. You can confess to maybe breaking and entering or something. But how do you confess to an SA? That's something you just don't do. You fight it out, because if you go ahead and you get that on you, you're not going to be able to get it off. And it's going to follow you for a very long time. So my son, in the hostage justice system, the basic thing, I'm going to tell you what they do. There is prolonged pre-indictment detention. So what they do is they prolong your detention to get you to confess. So my son, they threw him in solitary confinement. And he was like, nope, I'm not confessing. Nope, I'm not confessing. Do you know, in 4 years, my son has not slept with the lights off, because they want to watch for suicide. And it's also a psychological warfare. If your mind does not rest, then you can go into hysterics, and they won't even give him an eye covering. They said, in order, because I requested an eye covering, and they said in order for him to get an eye covering, they are going to have to request it from a higher up, and it can take a year for him to get an eye covering. So it is obvious what's going on when it comes to that. Now, they have intense interrogations. So he was interrogated over and over and over and over again. They basically coerce your confession. They make you go ahead, and we're going to wear you out until you confess. Now, the biggest thing that also went on too is they want you to pay. You have to pay. So I was being, what was it? I keep missing a word, but they were trying to solicit money from me to try to get me to pay. And they kept telling him that they were going to let him out and give him less time. And then they said, but even if you do pay, we're going to give you more. I see something that says, did the embassy provide any help during any point? Yes, the embassy has been there from day one. And let me tell you about I stored it. That is the word. Let me tell you about what the embassy cannot do. The embassy cannot do anything, pretty much, other than to make sure he's still alive, to make sure they try to push any type of humane, anything they can do. Report back and forth to me. He's alive, and to make sure that he's okay. And that's it. They can bring in reading materials. My son speaks the language, so I really did need a lot of materials there. So I going into, if you guys have any questions, America, we're allies. They never touched this. At this point, they haven't touched it. We've got to get through today. Tonight is the night of the exposure of the hostage justice system. The only way we're going to be able to get Japan to do anything at this particular point right now is we've got to talk about it, because the biggest reason they've been able to keep it covered for so many years. There's 5 cases so far that have been able to actually somewhat overcome the hostage justice system. And it's over 50 years old. It's post-war. So the tactics that they're using are the very things that they used during the Second World War. So they're actually using some of the same tactics, the inhumane conditions. In 4 years, my son has not had heat in the winter, because they don't have heat in the jails, and he has not had air in any during the summer. They don't have those. At one point, my son is a concert or a jazz pianist. He had frostbite on his hand because it had gotten so cold in the detention centers. My biggest thing too, although I feel everything that is going on with my son, there's a lot of people that definitely don't have what we have, even in this situation. His mental health, I have requested for them to have somebody come in. They refuse to. They refuse to do any of that. The biggest thing that has been happening also, another biggest thing, they denied bail. At one point, my son had been denied bail 15 times, and I think it's almost up to 30. And the reason, I'm not going to say necessarily that's the reason that they're doing this, but there was a situation with Carlos Ghosn that came in. You can read about it. So I'm not going to say anything that is not something that you can find on the internet at this point, other than something that is going on with my case. Carlos Ghosn he was over there, and he was in detention for 100 days. He paid millions to get out. And when he got out, there were 2 American citizens that were there that helped him get in a box and get to a plane to fly him out of the country, because he knew that he was not going to get a fair trial in Japan. It has been shown and in some documents that I've read that as of now, they admitted at Nissan, because he worked for Nissan, that they were jealous and set him up. So Carlos Ghosn has been able to he said, I'll never come back to Japan to face trial, because I know that I'm not going to get a fair trial, because he was also in the hostage justice system. So the biggest reason why they are holding on to my son's passport, which has expired over some years, which means that he should have been deported back to his country, is the fact that they felt he's a flight risk. So how can he be a flight risk if there's no passport or anything like that? So they're just holding him, because they also know that being in America, it's not a case. There was no evidence. There was nothing. So there's actually no case. So that's the biggest thing. They know that if he gets on American soil, that they're not going to be able to try him or charge him, because there is no case. So they're holding on to him. And that's our biggest reason now for this. Now it's time for us as citizens all over the world to bring a light to what's going on in Japan. There's another couple cases. Hakamada, you'll look him up. He was there for 50 years, charged for 50 years for something that he did not do. So he actually just got, I think he's in his 80s now. He was there 50 years, not guilty. The person that was working on his trial and helped get him off is now one of my son's attorneys, that he came on with the Innocence Project. So let me go and tell you how he got the Innocence Project. So during this time, in 2022, nothing has been going on. You guys ask me about times had I reached out to the presidents and everything? Yes. I reached out to the Department of State. They kept saying there's nothing we can do. I reached out to human rights. There's not enough information. I reached out to the Biden-Harris administration. They sent a letter saying, they would, and I asked them about it. That first time they never responded at all. And during 2022, President Biden issued a executive order stating that any country that was found having illegal or unlawful detainees, especially U.S. nationals, will be in trouble. Well, you found the list, and Japan was never on it because they could never, ever pinpoint Japan as holding any unlawful detainees until now. So, nothing ever came of that. In 2022, in October, the Innocence Project Japan was doing crowdfunding for their cases because they were about to shut down. One case came across their desk, and it was my son's case. They had many cases, but the case that came across across their desk was my son's. They looked into it and realized this man has been set up. So in 2023, my sister and I were flying out for a trial because they were about to convict my son. Right before the trial, a few days before the trial, the Innocence Project shows up to my son, and one of the attorneys so happened to be the one that helped solve a major case with DNA. He asked my son, could they represent him? My son said yes. They fired, and the courts went in and fired the the public defenders. Now, let me tell you how bad this is. The public defenders had finally weighed down my son to tell him to confess. Do you know that the public defenders had nerve to email me and tell me that they've been fired and to convince my son to hold up his end of the bargain and to confess, to say that he did it? This is what we've been up against. So I was being exploited, or for that matter, extorted for money. And then they tell me to tell him to hold up his end of the bargain. Now, I didn't know at that time, because I was on my way about to get on a plane, I didn't know who it came in. I was like, thank you, Lord. I've got time. So they said, because at first when I got there, I wasn't going to be able to see him because where he was at, you have to have an interpreter. And they said they were not going to interpret at all. They called me on a Zoom call, the public defenders and everything, and had an interpreter and everything, and told me, you know what? You're just fighting for your son. You think that he's telling the truth, but he's not. I said, no, you guys are lying. And I know that according to your Constitution, no man can take and implement his own self in anything. And so they were like, well, you know what? We'll see about that. I said, okay, fine. So when the Innocence Project came up, I'm like, hey, I'm fine. So when we got to Japan, we were not supposed to even be able to see my son because I needed an interpreter. But because my son speaks the language and he had a new case and new attorneys, the detention center allowed my son to actually interpret for us. And so I've seen my son 30 minutes in 4 years. Now, you ask, Ms. Payne or Rhonda, why have you not seen your son for 30 minutes in 4 years? Well, at first, financially and things like that, it just wasn't feasible. And then after a while, I would hear from my son and he'll say, Mom, use the money for something else. Don't do this. Fight for me to get this in place. I need an expert witness. Put the money to do that. However, I was concerned I didn't know, even though he is alive and things like that, I didn't know the state that I was going to find him in. And I just wasn't ready for that. I'm kind of ready to see it now because I'm in a fight with it now. I have all of you. And, I know you guys are backing me. So I know that I have the strength now to be able to do what I need to do. You guys may ask, where was the news? I tried to contact, I talked to someone from CBS for 3 years. 3 years, and they still would not do a story. Finally, somebody from Japan had to get in touch with somebody in America to get an article done on me for the Tribune, because this is truly miscarriage of justice. Nobody would touch it. So if you guys, know anybody that may be in some type of press or whatever, you can tag them in it. I don't know where it's going to go. But everybody you can think of, there's a list. And I won't even go off in the names because that is not where we're at tonight. It's just to expose a hostage justice system and to discuss where my son is in this case. And another big thing too, the biggest thing that they do in the hostage justice system is they isolate you from your families. So in order for me to be able to speak to my son, we have to write letters. Sometimes I can get through to one of his friends or something, and they may email me and send me a screenshot of something because he'll email them. But other than that, 21 days to even get a letter. So sometimes when I would get a letter from him, I would read it like it was happening that day. And I would literally have a breakdown that day, not realizing that the letter was 3 weeks old. So then when it came time for me to send him something, he would get it time later and things would pass. So it would be at times where we wouldn't communicate, at times or whatever. But because of him having a big set of, a good set of people, that made it easier. Now, he didn't have all of those people at all the time. At times, he went for months upon months on months of not being able to talk to really anybody because he was in Shiba, and Shiba is hours away from Tokyo. All of his people, his job, everybody he knew was in Tokyo. So finally, after the trial went on, they went in and they refused to allow any evidence, new evidence or anything, no DNA or whatever. So they convicted him to 8 years with hard labor. 8 years. No evidence, never check IP addresses, never check alibis. And I'll tell you about the DNA in a minute because you'll figure that out. All of this, that they set it up and they convicted him to 8 years. Now, recently, there was a trial that went on in Japan of American citizen that was in the military. It's all over the internet, or you can read it. He was caught in the act essaying a person. He got 7 years. The police caught him, and he got 7. Mine got 8 years with no evidence. And it was mainly because my son refused to say that he was guilty. And so therefore, we go into this when it comes to the DNA. The DNA was done, and it was done really bad. They over the time, I think it was last year. No, it was 2024. My son was like, Mom, I need an expert witness because other than that, I'm not coming out. I need somebody that is able to go in and say, this was wrong. They need to see it. So Simon Ford from California, which is a top, you can look him up, a top expert witness, flew into Japan because when he got the information, he's like, oh yeah, I'll deal with this. All of this is pro bono. My son had up to 9 attorneys and Simon Ford. It's all pro bono because they literally realized this guy, my son, was set up. Simon Ford looked at the DNA and he found out that the person that ran the DNA tried to run it 30 times to meet my son's DNA. And he kept changing the story. They said the most you can rerun it is one. He tried to run it 30 times to match. And to God be the glory, it didn't match one time. Not one. So when it came time to do this trial, because they went ahead and took it to the higher courts. In December, they wouldn't even allow Simon Ford to come in and testify that the DNA, they just moved it back to the lower courts and say, we don't want to deal with it. And that's what they do with Japan. They keep moving it back and forth to extend the time. And the reason why I believe, this is just my opinion, that they're doing this is their first case that somebody said, no, I'm not going to take you putting this falseness on me. So everybody else usually says that they did it. And Japan has a motto, guilty until proven innocent. So you are guilty. When we pick you up, if we say you stole, you could have been at your grandmother's house that day. And if we say you stole, you better prove your innocence. If not, we can put you in a detention center. Now, the person that ran my son's test has 1,200 cases under his belt, all guilty. They would have to rerun every single test that man did. He finally, at the last trial, was like, hey, with certain things, he was told to do it. And because you can't deny it anymore. And so that's exactly what's going on. So the biggest thing, they wanted 100% conviction rate. Carlos Ghosn started bringing it down. Then with this situation with my son, so they keep passing it back and forth. Another thing that they did to prolong it, the prosecutor, because the prosecutor, the police, and the judges were working together. They all work together. The prosecutors, it is proven, you can look it up, if they bring the judge a case, the judges assume that they did a good job of their due diligence and they're going to win. So the judges will sign off on it to let them go ahead and prosecute the case. So the biggest thing that they do, the first thing they do is they come in, I'm telling you now, they coming after money. You got to have money. Carlos Ghosn paid millions just to get out on bail. So what we're doing, even with the GoFundMe, is they're saying that if they decide they want to give him bail, he may need $50,000 to $100,000 just to get out. Now, he's not guilty. They've determined it. Now, the last, the attorney that he had that was on the case, they did a newspaper article, and I believe tonight she may put it up. He quoted in the newspaper, you guys knew he was not guilty and there was no evidence. And he called them cowards. He said, you guys were too cowardly to say that he was innocent. Why are you being cowards? Why not just say he's innocent? But then you got to let him out. Then you got to admit to miscarriage of justice. Then Japan gets a bad look because nobody has ever been able to pin this on Japan. Every time somebody says Japan has a hostage justice system, they were always able to say that it was a lie. This is a case that proves that it's true. How? The reason why I have to do it, because my son can't, because he's in detention. You'll be surprised the things that I've gotten, that I have all the information that came out of Japan that nobody could use. They couldn't use it because it's like this. Give an example. You got all the stuff that's going on in your household. All this stuff is going on. Nobody knows about it. You tell everybody in your household, this is our business. Nobody knows about it. Then a visitor comes over to the house. You're still doing the same thing. When that visitor leaves, that visitor is able to come over and tell everybody else what's going on. So my son can't tell anybody. However, I've got the information, and that's what I need your help for. When we come off of this, I'm going to try to see how to upload this either on YouTube or whatever. I need you guys, especially anybody that knows anybody in Japan or anywhere else, to get this out to everybody, because it has been quiet for 4 years. America would refuse to say anything, and the reason why, we are allies. We're allies. You never wanted to be that your friend has kidnapped your child. You don't ever want to believe that. Now, I would say this: if you're my friend and we cool and we don't let each other's kids play at each other's house, and one day I come to pick up my child and you tell me that you're not letting my child go, we're not friends anymore. So we in Japan, we're allies with them. So to a certain extent, I understand, but I don't understand. And we kept saying it over the past couple of years. Just let them out. Just let them out. Because it's snowballing. It's snowballing. It's snowballing. We've, and someone put in here about George Glass. Frank Mervan, the representative from Indiana, he wrote George Glass directly. If you go look on my page, you'll see in the TikTok, I actually put the letter from Frank Mervan to me and to George Glass. I just forgot to put up George Glass, the response. They have not went in to see my son at all. They have not went to do any of that. And just recently, my son had run into after he came out of this last trial, he ended up running into some health problems. So what's going on too is another thing. They rob you of medical attention. So now they're making it as to where they have no other choice but to bring outsiders in. However, it's hard to find an outside doctor because they're afraid to go in. Years ago, you'll look it up online also, they were asking lawyers. They would pay them, the country would pay them if they would defend certain people that were in detention, and they said no, because they could not win against the hostage justice system. So that's the biggest thing. It is an illegal system. So they knew that if they went in and they used the regular trial procedures, they would not win. Now, let me tell you about the prosecutor. So when it came time and the prosecutor was being exposed, the prosecutor, my son's attorney, the judges were sitting together. The judge asked the prosecutor, "Why did you do this?" The prosecutor would sit there and wouldn't say a word. So finally, when he wouldn't speak, the judge would say, "Okay, now you're going to tell us why you did it. So we're going to set this case for 6 months." So we would have to wait 6 months for the prosecutor to come in to tell them why he did it. 6 months came. Go in again. Why did you do it? The prosecutor would sit there and say nothing for 6 months. Well, for not say anything. And then the judge would say, 6 months. Come back and tell us why you did it. Finally, they did it 3 times. By then, it's you think about it, that's 18 months. 18 months. The prosecutor to this day has not spoken. Has not spoken at all. They even got rid of that one judge that was allowing it. So therefore, what do you do with all of that? So that's the biggest thing that we're dealing with, the hostage justice system. If you want to read about some of the current things that's going on, you can type Christopher Payne in, and you type in the FCCJ. If somebody can put that in the chat, the FCCJ and Christopher Payne. That is going to be one of your better articles. Everybody has written good articles. I mean, Japan has written good articles. Amy from the Tribune in Chicago and the Post-Tribune, Chicago Tribune, she did a good article because she was able to directly come in and talk to me. She did a good article. But literally, nobody else right now would touch it. I may have a potential that somebody may do it, but at this time it's been put on hold. So I'm believing that it will actually, come to something as to where now it's not just, we're talking about Chris's case. However, we need to get this out. You know how many people are sitting in the Japanese detention center uncharged, because what do? You just let them sit there. And then what they do is when they sit there, eventually they'll go in and take a plea or something like that, and they'll get off. And then maybe they'll give them time served, or they'll say, we'll give you a suspended sentence. But how do you get a suspended sentence for an SA? You keep that stigma. When you come back to your country, you have that stigma. And my job is, I asked my mom to pray with me, and nobody really knew this. I stood on mom. They cannot find anything on him. That's a stigma. He had other than that issue that he had, falling asleep in front of somebody's door. He had no record or anything. And so therefore, and the people forgave him. So he's totally innocent in all of this. And they just pinned it on him. Simon Ford. So we're looking to the fact, and now this is what's going on here. And let me know if there's anything else you guys need to know, if there's anything that I'm forgetting, because I really want you guys to get the gist of it. How is he doing now at this particular point? I heard from him. He is thinking in terms he's going to make them, because he just had his last bail in the Supreme Court denied. So he's put in with his attorneys to make the system tell them why they did it. In America, you don't have to tell why you did something. However, in Japan, you do. And the only reason why they put it in place is because they said he would be a flight risk. To where and how? So that's the biggest thing that, we're up against when it comes to that. And, and dealing with a few of health issues, because he's been having migraines and things like that. And the diet is not as good. He doesn't have a Western diet. He has a Japanese diet and things like that. I would say this for all of the supporters that he has that will see this. America did nothing. But I would tell you this, Japan, they stood up. Every time a verdict was about to be read, they stood up with signs. They have a team of people that meet to see how they're going to work with him. They go in and they take him books. People send him money so he can buy different types of foods and things. They're not always as healthy, but it's not the diet that's there. And eventually what happened, and then when you look at when it comes to the cell and you talk about solitary confinement, he has been in a cell by himself for 4 years. In Shiba, it was smaller. In Tokyo, it's a little bit bigger. However, because he lost his last appeal, they're trying to move him back to Shiba by the end of the month or next month, which will make him lose all the connections that he has. So that's why we want to definitely get involved in this. He believes, even going back to Shiba, maybe they'll sign off. Can I tell you how deep this is? They can walk his paperwork in one day and a judge can sign off on it and he'll be out. There's nothing else. They don't have to investigate. They don't have to do anything. Yes, I'm going to take and download this and put it on YouTube for everything. Okay, I see it with Japanese subtitles. I definitely will. So everybody can share this, get us to many people as you want. You'll look up when it goes on his, you got a little bit of time now, unless he's transferred to Shiba, but you'll see he's in Tokyo right now. So if you want to write him or something like that, you'll see where on the YouTube or a page where you can actually go in and you can actually write him a letter. And my biggest thing with him as a mother, I'm fighting. I miss Mother's Days, Christmases, Thanksgivings, and last year, on the fourth year, that's when the article was released, because that was the anniversary of him being picked up. And even though he's 34, he's still my son. I'm still his mom. I'm his voice. I am his voice right now. He doesn't have one in the detention center. Japan has tried to quiet him from saying anything. He worked on decoding his own DNA and was able to send it to the human rights. The human rights organizations have been trying to get something on Japan, but they never could until now. So if you guys can help me get his story out. Make sure that nobody in Japan sleeps until they go in and free my son up and make sure that he is safe and that he comes home to America. This is his home. I have contacted everybody from CEN to BBC to NBC to MSNBC to Fox to CBS. They refuse to touch his story. And the only reason why I'm stepping out here now is because you guys have shown me more support than anybody has in 4 years. So I appreciate all of you for doing this. I really do. And if we can get this out, it will paint a picture. Do you know, with not just my son, but do you know how many mamas don't have this? How many people don't have the Innocence Project? When I say I can send my son clothes because he's still in his clothes because his cases are still in the courts. But if my son's hair, because he's part Greek, his hair is down to his back. He said he braids it in locks. Do you know, if my son have been convicted and going into the detention with hard labor, they would have shaved him bald. He would have had to wear their uniforms. He would have had to do this, but now I can send my son clothes. They can take him underwear. They can do things. The most that they were looking for in Tokyo was somebody that would pick his clothes up from the detention center and wash them. He can get as many letters as he wants. He just can't write many letters, but he can get as many letters as he wants all the time. You can send him all kinds of stuff. At one point, the embassy was saying how, because you had a lot of people that are in there, and I did not know it, that were English speaking. So my son is not the only case. And what my son would do is, because a lot of people could not read Japanese because they could only have Japanese material, my son would make cartoons and different things like that, and make books for all of the detainees inside of the detention center. And the embassy would make copies and give it to all of the people so they would have something to read. So he's trying and he's fighting. He's fighting hard, but he needs to know that America is finally stepping up. As of yesterday, with the new prime minister coming in, this is supposed to be, now they're saying that America and Japan are now forging a new, connection. And what I'm doing is, every time I see that, I type in at Justice for Chris Payne, and I put in, he's being held in detention, and nothing can come of this relationship until he's out. No, there's not supposed to be peace between us until he's out. How can you do that? How can you overlook all of that and pretend that he does not exist? So you can go and hang out with each other and think that everything is going to be okay. However, this platform has given a voice and given a face to the hostage justice system in Japan, where for all of these years, for over 50 years, they've been able to cover it up. You guys are the ones that are actually showing with your support how much is being done. And I appreciate you for all of this. We got t-shirts that we're doing to help raise the money towards the for the bail. I'm believing that after this, we may not even need it. However, the biggest thing is to get him out. And the first thing that I want him to do is when he gets out, I want him to go to a hospital, to go ahead and get some rest, and to be able to be evaluated, to be able to do everything. I'm trying to get there in not even the next couple of weeks, trying to make sure that everything, so I can go in and check on him to make sure. And by us having this platform, it makes sure that when I go to Japan, number one, I'm safe. And then number two, there's a voice that's out there. So far with one of the videos, there's over 200K that have viewed that video, and thousands have shared it. So it's still getting out there. However, I need you guys to do something for me. I need you to find as many influencers in Japan, as much as you can in Japan, to let them get this out. Japan needs to know that we now have, it's now out, so everybody can see what's going on. So at this point, I don't know, and this is a miscarriage of justice case. And what it is they've done it. I was supposed to go to the United Nations. They were supposed to hear his case in August. I got a letter stating that they were not going to hear it in August, but they were going to hear it in December. December has passed. It is now February, and I have not heard from the United Nations at all, because they know this is in violation. My son is now, when I talked to one of the attorneys, he's under what is called the Nelson Mandela Act. And the Nelson Mandela Act is what happened when Nelson Mandela was locked up in detention all those years, and it was unlawful. And the United Nations put an act in place that no one could be held unlawful like that in detention. So now he's up under the Nelson Mandela Act. So Japan has violated every single human right that my son was supposed to have. Every right to attorneys, right to a quick and speedy trial, right to bail, right to medical attention, right to having communication with family, and having meals that were according to his culture, things like that. So he was all of that was violated. So the biggest thing now is to kind of get that out, to make sure that at least the awareness is there. There's really nothing else to, follow up with. They're going up again to do some things. My son is from what I heard a couple of days ago, he's doing a lot, much better. He was in much better spirits, and much more believing that now that, he said, because the courts are not doing anything. And I know why. How can they admit to this? But they've got to admit to it. They have no other choice but to admit that this was wrong. So I'm just encouraging all of you, as soon as we get off here, I'm hoping that I can save it some type of way to make the YouTube. They said I can download it so I can get it to everybody. And then you guys circulate it even more. And what I'll do is, if I save it, try to also make clips that I would put on TikTok, because this is my biggest platform, and this is the only platform that's really pushing anything regarding this case. So at this time, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, if you could put them kind of in the chat. Is there anything that I've missed that you guys may want to know?
Thank you very much. I think someone asked, I think it was Brandon who asks, where did you say the most recent article was?
The FCCJ, you can look it up on, rather than go, just wait for the TikTok or the Instagram or anything. Because if you go on anything, like if you go on Instagram, if you go on Facebook, if you go on TikTok, it's always going to be justice for Chris Payne. Everywhere you go, it's going to be justice for Chris Payne. And it's going to be better for you to subscribe to those things or follow those so we can, as we update, because we up anything that we get, we're going to update them on everything. However, go on Google if you can, or whatever it is, and you can type FCCJ and Christopher Stephen Payne. No, he's not. It says it will end in 5 minutes. Okay. What is it? It
No, it's
says,
not. It's
drag
telling
the
you that,
piece.
no. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. I think I got it. Okay. So no, he's not a Greek citizen. He's part Greek. He's an American citizen. And so, but his father was from Greece. So that's gonna, he's lived in America all his entire life. In fact, he's never even met his father. So that's that's a major thing too. So I'm fighting with this as a single mother. And so when we look at that, so if you go on any of his platforms, you'll see that, like I said, please, whatever you do, just kind of follow him so I can update with you with everything. Because when he comes home, I want him to be able to see all the people that supported him. He gets a lot of letters in Japan. They said he's averaging on 10 letters a day. And I know people probably cannot stand that in the detention center because if they're in English, they have to read them and they have to transcribe them. So just send them a letter if you can. The stamps are usually, I think, $1.25 or $1.50 just to send them a letter. Just say hello. Don't put anything that would, because Japan is militant, he won't get it. At one point, I sent him an article on something that had happened in Japan, and he told me, he said, well, Mom, would you send me the rest of the article? Because they had cut bits and pieces of the article out. So we want to make sure that nothing is in it that they're going to throw away. And he is actually, when he can, write. He's good at writing back. The biggest thing, more than anything, he has the migraines, but when he has to sit up all day in Indian style like this until bedtime. So he never gets a chance to lay down and take a nap. So my biggest thing is I'm ready for him to come home, to get his healing, to make sure that all is well. And I'm just glad that you guys you guys can post it wherever you want. Post it everywhere. We want everybody to see it. Anybody that's militant, anybody that's for a cause, anybody that if they could share this, I would truly appreciate it. And I thank all of you. It says it's going to click off. I didn't realize that it was going to a short time that I can only do it. Thank you so much, Maya. I see you from Japan. Thank you so much. Thank all of you. And yes. And hopefully, if you guys want to sit down, Maya, if you guys want to contact me and you guys want to go online and do a live or something like that, feel free to contact me and I'll answer whatever questions you guys may need me to answer. Hey, Andre, love you, cuz. I'll say anything that you guys need me to do. Other than that, it's about time. Any other questions right off the bat that I didn't answer before my time is down?
We got a 50 Pop who asked, can they post about this on their account to spread the word?
Absolutely. Spread the word. Spread it every day if you can. You can go on the TikTok page and you'll see letters for Chris. A lot of times they want you to flood letters in on the 17th of every month because he was born December 17th. And that's his birthday. So they said the 17th of month, I think they said snow or something like that. It's something that they got that you can send letters to you.
TikTok or his Instagram?
TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. It's Justice for Chris Payne. Okay. Any other questions? It says, what office are you waiting for word back at the United Nations? Any office. They sent me a letter and, told me that his case was going to come up and they were going to address it. Then they sent me a letter to tell me that it was postponed. And I never heard back from the United Nations again. Every other day, I write our president. I'm kind of gonna let that be gone for a while, and I'm gonna focus kind of on you guys, helping me get the information out if you'll be willing to do that. Because I believe now it's time for us, if you guys will help me take it into our own hands and at least spread the awareness that this is actually going on. So it's 8:02. So here where I'm at. So other than that, are there any other questions that I may need to answer?
I don't see any more here.
Okay. All right. Other than that, if there are no other questions, I thank you so much. I'll be back with you shortly, probably in a couple of days, or anytime I hear any information, I'm going to put it up, or, maybe do a live and talk with you guys so you guys can ask questions, because now you're part of the family. You guys are not going anywhere. You're part of our family. And like I said, I want Chris to be able to see everybody who supported him. And I send you guys all my love. And I thank you so much for your support. And have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye. Now let's see if I learn how to turn this off. Is it this button up here where it's a circle like and a line?
Yes.
All righty. Bye-bye, everybody. Love you guys.